Hello guys and welcome to another video. This time we're going to be looking over ideas for the Walking Dead webisodes that they could possibly do. So yeah, I think it'll be fun looking over what they could possibly do for a webisode. You could never quite know, so you don't, they can go from anything from a red machete to the doors at the hospital Rick woke up in. But first let's look over all the webisodes they have done in the past. First there was Torn Apart, the backstory on the Bicycle Girl. There was Cold Storage, which was about a storage unit, The Oath, which was about the hospital Rick was in, Flight 462, which was about the plane in Season 1, The Passage, which was about the border, and Red Machete, obviously being about the Red Machete. Now first off is an idea for a Negan webisode. I don't think we're going to get one. I think they're going to save that for the show. Same with PPP and Heat. But this is what I do think we'll get a webisode out of. And that's the Grady Memorial Hospital. Now, ever since Season 5, we have not heard from the Grady Memorial Hospital. It's, of course, the place they had Beth kept at. Now, ever since Dawn and Beth have died, the people there have been never brought up. Any character that was there, like Noah and Beth, they are dead. Well, Carol is still alive, but still. One of the actresses playing one of the characters has said that she thinks the characters are still alive, just they're low on food. I think it would be cool to see some sort of webisode based around what happens with them and get some closure on them, at least. Next up is a continuation for Alex. Now, maybe Fear will bring her back for Season 4 or any future season. Maybe she'll show up in some other version. I would like to get closure on her character. She was a very good character in Flight 462. She was great in the 2 episodes of Fear she was in. Of course, killing Jake, putting him out of his misery. She was played by a fantastic actress. I think the actress's name is Michelle Ang, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Alex was a fantastic character. I think getting to know more about, what happened to her after we left Jack's boat. Maybe she took over, something like that. This is probably my favorite idea for a webisode, and it's a pretty depressing one. We know Terminus is destroyed now, and we know that for a while they've been luring people to Terminus, killing them, and then eating their remains. We know they lured people in with their signs, Sanctuary for all, community for all, those who arrive survive, and they would put them in train carts and drain them of their blood and then eat them. I think it'd be interesting to have a web series based around the like a bunch of characters, a handful of them. Maybe 2 don't trust the place, leave, so we have some loose ends. But these other characters show up, eventually die, and they're the remains we see in Season 4, the ones on screen right now. Showing that this place was a lie and there is indeed no sanctuary. Next up is one about the Vatos, the nursing home. I think they could put them in a Grady Memorial Hospital webisode, seeing how they're both inside Atlanta. Now, originally we got a deleted scene basically showing that they were all dead. Now, however, that is a deleted scene. Whether or not they'll ever come out and say if the deleted scenes are canon, they might not. Like, if it's deleted, it's not a part of the show and it's not canon, I'm guessing. That seems to be the way they're doing things, so I would like to see what happens with the Vatos in some form or fashion. Maybe even it has something to do with the governor, because, the actor playing Schumpert played, Schumpert and then a background character in the Vatos nursing home, so maybe he is the same character. They never confirmed that. Next up is Morales. I think if we ever get a Negan backstory episode, Morales will show up again, just showing how he got there. But maybe we could get a webisode based around from the moment his family dies to him meeting Negan. I think that could be an idea for a webisode based around Morales. I think it's possible if the actor wants to come back to do a webisode. I imagine he might. Like he wanted to come back to the show. He probably wanted to do more than just appear for 2 episodes and get killed straight away. But yeah, it would be cool to see him back again. A prelude to an upcoming character. This character is Dante from the comic book. What if we get a webisode that introduces us to him, and then when he's introduced on the show, we're already familiar with the character, and we already have an attachment to the character. Because Dante is a pretty big character, it would be cool to get some kind of prelude to him, or even a different character. I don't think we'll get a webisode based around the Whisperers. I think that might be another thing they save for the show. So yeah, I do think Dante would be the best one though. Next up is a continuation to Red Machete, because it did leave off on a cliffhanger. A Red Machete part 2. So, and like, I think what it would be about the person that took the Red Machete at the end of the webisode. Although I do think this person is Alpha or possibly someone else, and we're going to be seeing that person in season 9. So we may not need a continuation of Red Machete, although hopefully we get closure on this character pretty soon, because I think they have a plan for this character, and I think it would be cool to see what they will do with that character. I would also like to see Mandy show up on the show, just as a quick side note. But yeah, so the Red Machete was great, and it was really nice seeing, that someone else has it now. Next off, you could say something about the helicopter at Jadis's or Anne's camp, although I do think this will be something explained for the main TV show, so I don't really think we're going to get an explanation on that in a webisode, but in the main TV show. However, that's not it with the Junkyard Group, the Scavengers. A backstory on Winslow. If we could get one on Bicycle Girl, why not get one on Winslow? Hell, what about him and the other 2 walkers we saw? I have a picture of all 3 of them just so you can get a refresher on all 3 walkers, but there's Winslow, Winslow 2.0, and Winslow 3.0. I think it would be cool seeing what they were like before they died. It might give a bit more tragedy to those characters, and it will definitely, I think it will do more beneficial than, it'll do more good than bad to have a backstory on these characters, because a cool thing that The Walking Dead shows is not only does every survivor have a story and every walker has a story, but every item has a story, even down to a red machete. But yeah, that's all 3 of the walkers there, so maybe we could see what happened with them, how they died, and maybe the reason why Jadis did this to the walkers after they died. Or maybe she killed them, who knows. Next up is the walker that was in the tank in the first episode. Now, when Frank Darabont was working on the show, he was originally going to do an episode that would have been about the tank walker. Now, even though it would have been cool to see the tank walker, I don't think they should have done it for a main episode. A web episode would be perfect for it. And originally, I think Dale, Amy, and Andrea were meant to show up at the end, and it was going to show the downfall of Atlanta. Although I do think they could do this in a webisode, get the actor back to play the Walker, and of course, play him. I think it'd be pretty damn cool to see that. I think people would be up for that, and yeah. Okay, next up is a Tdawg and Glenn webisode. For you Tdawg and Glenn fans, wouldn't you like to see them again? We know Tdawg and Glenn spent the early days together, so it would have been cool to see them interact. Maybe even them being the ones to start the Atlanta camp along with Shane, Laurie, and Carl, and everyone else. We could have gotten the origins on the Atlanta camp, how it started, in case there was anyone there before Rick showed up. Something like that. I doubt that, but it would be cool to see these 2 characters again. They are very popular and they are very missed. Next up is finality on these two characters, Sierra and Gabby. These are the two main characters of the passage. I really thought they were going to show up in season 3, and they had like no appearance whatsoever. I did hear though that Gabby's boyfriend was originally meant to show up in season 3, episode 1, although he wasn't able to film the scenes, so they couldn't use him. So they just made up a different character for him. So maybe there was a plan to bring these characters in at some point, and maybe they can still be brought in, or maybe we'll get a webisode showing what happened to them. Next up is the military that we saw in Fear the Walking Dead. Now, at the end of season 1, we did see a bunch of the military did leave that camp after it got overrun with walkers by Daniel, so maybe we could see what happened to them afterwards. Maybe if they went anywhere safe, maybe they ran into characters that we could see at some point. You know, there's endless possibilities for what they could do with the military. So I just think it'd be pretty cool just to see something done out of this. Okay, next up is going to be spoilers for the comic book The Walking Dead: The Alien, so turn off now. This is Jeffrey Grimes, Rick Grimes' younger brother. People do want a webisode or an episode or just something to show Rick's brother in the TV universe. So we could get an adaptation of the Alien. They have adapted other stuff, like they've adapted Rise of the Governor into the show, and they've adapted a bit of Here's Negan into the show. So why not adapt the Alien into the show as well? I think it's very possible. I think Jeffrey and Claudia are both great characters to have in the show. So yeah, I think something like that would make a pretty cool one, and it could show around the world as this story takes place in Barcelona, Spain. Next is Summer, the teddy bear girl, or the bunny slippers girl, whatever you want to call her. Now, she showed up at the end of season 8, which was really fucking awesome. It would be cool to see a backstory on her. Now, you may say, how will they get the actress back, because she won't look like this anymore, because this was done years ago. But I think you could have a different actress playing her while she's alive, and then, you know, just use stock footage of her as a walker, and use Addie Miller for the stock footage. So, yeah. Now, we did get her backstory in the social game for Facebook, but that is not canon, so it's not canon to the TV or the comic book. She's not even in the comic book, but it is not canon, so that doesn't count. Next up is the Lone Walker. Now, this has become a very popular walker recently, as people, you know, the people out there that think this is Rick, you're wrong. That is just a lone walker. However, could it be foreshadowing to the end of the series? That's the part of the theory I like. It would be a depressing ending, but it would be a powerful ending to the series. Personally, I don't want this to be the ending, but if it is, I'll accept it. If it's not, then fine. But what if we get a backstory showing what happened to this lone walker? Maybe he had a group, maybe he had people he cared about, maybe people cared about him. Maybe we could see a very dark story of how he ended up on his own. Anyway, that's it, guys. See ya.